Welcome to the Egg Whisperer Show. I'm Dr. Amy, and today we're talking about answers, precision, and a new frontier in male fertility science. The title of today's episode is Male Fertility Answers, the PS Fertility Story. Male infertility testing is often incomplete. Even when a semen analysis comes back as normal, it doesn't assess sperm function. And research shows that 20 to 30% of men with normal results might still have fertility issues. When sperm function isn't measured, how do we know which sperm are actually capable of fertilizing an egg? Today, I'm joined by Jeff Lysiak, PhD co-founder and Chief Science Officer at PS Fertility, to talk about phosphatidylserine, the PS score, and how this science is changing fertility care for patients and doctors alike. Jeff Lysiak is a scientist by training with foundational research roots at the University of Virginia. He built his company after discovering that phosphatidylserine, or PS, on sperm is essential for fertilization. His work focuses on improving diagnostic precision in male infertility so couples can get clearer answers faster. Jeff, thank you for joining me. I'm so excited to be having this conversation with you. I'm always looking for really cool tests to help couples so they can figure out what the heck is going on. So I would love to just start at the beginning. What drew you into urology and male fertility research, and how did that path lead you to this work?
Sure. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Amy. That was great. I actually did my PhD on the placenta way back many years ago. Studying the placenta, after I finished my PhD, I was looking for a postdoc position. And this position at the University of Virginia came up looking at spermatogenesis in Dr. Terry Turner's lab. I decided I liked reproduction and reproductive biology, so I stayed in the field.
And your research has led to a discovery published in Nature Communications. Can you explain what phosphatidylserine is in simple terms and why its presence on sperm is so critical for fertilization?
Sure. Yeah, it's a bit of a mouthful. That's why we'll just call it PS,
Yeah.
just to play on PS and everything. I have to take you back maybe to your high school biology. Do you remember your cell membrane?
Yeah.
It's a lipid bilayer, right? It's an outer layer and an inner layer of lipids, lipid bilayer. Well, phosphatidylserine is one of those lipids that's in the inner lipid bilayer. And we have it in all our cells, but our cells love to keep it on the inside all the time. Very rarely does it get exposed to the outside. In fact, my long-term collaborator, Dr. Ravi Chandran, who's also a co-founder of PS Fertility and on the Nature paper with us, his work is looking at how PS signals and its role in cell clearance. So I was very fortunate that we collaborated, and that led to our discovery that it gets exposed on live sperm.
I see this test as being a way to give couples answers when everything looks amazing and they still are given a really annoying diagnosis called unexplained infertility
Right,
for people who
right.
are doing IUIs, for example, and it's just not working. So I'm really excited that there could be a test now that could help those couples discover what the root cause is so they're
Yeah.
not just scratching their heads and women aren't going through treatments that just won't work.
Right. Yeah, Amy, our test was almost, or our study was almost serendipitous actually, because again, it usually stays on the inside of cells. So we were doing these studies and we noticed it was on the outside of these sperm just swimming around. And as we were doing our work, other labs were starting to report that PS really might be involved in cell fusion. Like cells of the placenta, the trophoblast cells, they fuse using PS, and even our pre-muscle cells called myoblasts fused from myotubes using PS. So we became experts in mouse IVF. We had a wonderful postdoc in the lab, Dr. Claudia Ravel. And actually, it's a lot of her work, of course, that she became experts in mouse IVF. And anyway, if we block or mask PS on sperm, we greatly decrease fertilization. And we went on to show that there are actually receptors for PS on the egg, on the oocyte themselves. And there are many receptors actually, so it was a lot harder to block those. But if we did on the egg, we also reduced fertilization. So we're really at that sperm egg interface is where the PS is fusing with the egg. And in fact, when our paper came out here at UVA, we got quite a bit of press that the egg is just not a passive player. Again, going back to your high school biology, I'm sure we all saw pictures, of sperm swimming along, and then it finally meets the egg and it somehow just gets in there. Well, that's not true at all. The sperm actually lands on the egg, and then the egg and the sperm really begin to fuse, and the egg engulfs the entire sperm. So the egg is not just a passive player in all this.
Yeah. Well, I think that, research like this is so important because so many people are seeking fertility care. And it's just so hard to be a patient and know what tests to do, what will be helpful. On your end, at what point in a fertility workup do you think the PS test should be done?
Oh, well, you mentioned earlier in the introduction, that the basic semen analysis, really just looks at sperm numbers, motility, and morphology. and doesn't give a great indication of male fertility. In fact, there are experts in the field who admit this in their papers that 20-30% of guys with a normal semen analysis could still be infertile. Personally, forming the company, I think it should be done right away, or especially in cases of idiopathic male infertility.
Yeah. And then what if you have a bad PS score? When we see a guy with a abnormal semen analysis, we'll refer him to the reproductive urologist, and maybe they can rule out a varicocele, take some supplements, maybe Clomid if there's testosterone's low. Is there
Sure.
anything a guy can do to improve the PS score?
Yeah, I get this asked this quite a bit, Amy. So right now, without going into too much of the science, the flipping of the PS to the sperm occurs in the epididymis, actually not back in the testis. So it's something that happens as a sperm matures in the epididymis. So right now, at PS Fertility, we're working on ways can we select for these PS positive sperm in the ejaculate to enrich them. But I would say right now, if guys do have low levels, maybe they should consult with people like you and physicians, and maybe think about going right to ICSI and saving time and money. Uh,
Right.
yeah.
And what causes low levels? Is it genetic? Is it environmental?
Yeah, that's a great question too. I mean, we published a paper last year. We know that varicocele does. I don't know if you listeners know what varicocele or a varicocele is? It's basically a varicose vein on the left side of the scrotum. So, in brief, us males, we have poor venous drainage on the left side. The left testicular vein goes up to the left renal and then across to the inferior vena cava. Where on the right, it goes directly to the inferior vena cava. So we have poor venous drainage on the left side, which can lead to pooling of the blood there, varicosities, which the theory is it results in heat and reactive oxygen. So having a varicocele, a lot of men have them. They're probably underdiagnosed, and they're the second leading cause of male infertility. So in the work that we did, we found that I think it was up to 40% of guys with varicocele had low PS levels. For those individuals, there is a surgery involved that urologists can do, reproductive urologists. And then when we followed up to 35 men that had the surgery, and of the ones that were low, they did go back into that normal range, which is above 78%. We're finding around 78% of the sperm need to be PS positive to really be considered fertile. Below that, you may be subfertile or infertile. But
Yeah.
after the surgery, all these guys went back into the high range, and we started seeing pregnancies in the group.
Wow.
So,
So maybe it could, because not everyone who has varicocelectomy ends up with a pregnancy. So this could be a good test potentially to see if the varicocelectomy worked.
that's all. Yeah, I've heard that before also. Yeah, we collaborated a lot with Dr. Parviz Kavusi down in Austin, Texas, and Dr. Ryan Smith, two reproductive biologists, and they've also suggested that. Yes.
I want to talk about the PS detect and PS score. What is the PS score, and
Right.
how does this flow cytometry based test go beyond a simple sperm count, motility, and morphology test?
Right. Yeah, so at PS Fertility, Amy, we launched our first diagnostic test called PS Detect. And so we could send out kits to anywhere in the country. In fact, I have one here. Do you want to,
Okay.
if
Oh,
it's,
I definitely want to see one.
do you want to see one? It's just a box.
Okay.
But so we'll show up at the patient's house, and you can open it up. And obviously, we have instructions because we are dealing with men, so we do need instructions. Then you have a collection kit and a buffer and a transport kit, and you just do everything in your house and ship it back overnight to PS Fertility. And when we get the sample, what we do is we have a reagent that labels PS on sperm,
Yeah.
on live sperm. And by using flow cytometries, these are I don't know, fancy instruments which could detect the labeled cells using lasers. We're able to assess over 10,000 per ejaculate. So we get a really good number of cells that are PS positive. We're going beyond just sperm numbers and morphology and motility, right? Those are consider those more upstream events. They happen in the testis or as the female reproductive tract. But now we're looking at molecules right at the sperm egg interface that are needed for how that sperm enters the egg.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So in 2024 November, you published a study in JU Open Plus, and that showed a strong link between PS score and male fertility. And what did you learn when you compared PS scores in pregnancy-proven donors versus patients with a varicocele?
So we had a lot of samples from pregnancy proven donors, guys that have fathered children. And analyzing all those, we found that PS positive live sperm, you needed over 78% in the ejaculate in these pregnancy proven donors. In guys with varicocele, they had much lower levels, really. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, that varicocele is the second leading cause of male infertility.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a great tool or another test, another tool in your toolbox to help diagnose varicocele or other forms of idiopathic male infertility.
And have you noticed any trend with age? As men
Uh,
age, does the PS score increase?
Actually, we haven't seen anything with age. We've begun a longitudinal study where we're following men, getting a sample every month.
Mhm.
And so far, no, we have guys into their 60s and no drop with age. But we're very interested on, yeah, what does affect, besides varicocele, what are other things? So that's where we're very interested in doing that. And thankfully, my co-founder, Dr. Ravi Chandran, who I mentioned, he still has an active research lab. So we're still able to do some basic science and research to hopefully even get more answers for you.
Very interesting. And what percentage of guys have a low PS score? So let's say you have 100 guys who are going to a fertility clinic. What would you say the percentage could be?
So right now, we have begun selling our kits with the soft launch, and everything coming back, we're seeing just over 30% have low PS scores.
Okay.
Okay, so these are mostly guys seeking fertility treatment, and I think you mentioned earlier, and we're seeing about that same with that have a normal semen analysis. In fact, I was talking to one reproductive urologist at a major hospital over here, and we had a cluster of guys with normal semen analysis but a low PS score. And he was like, "Oh, those are the guys I lose sleep over.
Right.
Maybe this could be, an answer to some of them."
Well, I'm glad someone's losing sleep over this because I'm not the only one. Because I lose sleep
No,
over not having answers that I can give patients because it's so
sure,
frustrating.
indeed,
Because
yeah.
yeah, and then oftentimes, especially as the woman gets older, we blame the egg, saying it's
Mhm.
age related, but it might not be. It might be PS related.
It could very well be.
Yeah.
We're still learning, really how the sperm gets into the egg. I think the PS and PS receptors on the egg are a very important clue and mechanism of how this occurs. But there's probably even other molecules involved.
Yeah. I imagine you're biased, and so when you give your answer, it's okay. But
Okay.
do you think that it's still too early for everyone to be considering this test as a diagnostic tool when they are doing their Tushy check? And if you don't know what the Tushy check is, it's basically my mnemonic. It's tubes, uterus, sperm, hormones, your genetics. Should we include the PS score as part of the S?
I did read about the Tushy score or Tushy
Tushy
test.
check.
So
Yep.
personally, of course, yeah, I think you should use it as the S part, the semen analysis, because again, you could go to the literature and there are papers by experts in the field that claim, the basic semen analysis doesn't do a great job of with male infertility. So I think the more tests we have, the hopefully the more answers we can give physicians like you.
So, Jeff, how did your discovery of phosphatidylserine reveal a major gap in traditional fertility testing, especially when it comes to the routine semen analysis?
So the routine semen analysis or basic semen analysis, again, only looks at sperm numbers, motility, and morphology. There's no indication of, is that sperm actually capable of fertilizing an egg? So by examining PS, this molecule which we identified as being right there at the sperm-egg interface, which is involved in binding to receptors on the egg and how the sperm enters the egg for fertilization, I think we're able to get a better idea of what sperm are capable of fertilizing in the ejaculate. So the PS score actually measures fertilization competent sperm, those sperm which we think are capable of fertilizing.
Yeah. And then how did that discovery lead to PS fertility?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, I'm a basic scientist and had a research lab at the University of Virginia in the Department of Urology for over 20 years, Amy. So as Ravi and I, Dr. Ravi Chandran, he's my collaborator in all this, we were doing our studies. My MD colleagues in urology, such as Dr. Bill Steers and these urologists, Brian Smith, were like, you guys, you're onto something here, because the basic semen analysis isn't great and you're onto something. And then Dr. John Hare's lab, I don't know if you heard of John, but he formed Sperm Check. You could go to drugstores and buy Sperm Check. He would show me these old scanning electron microscopy pictures of sperm landing on the egg, and you could see it's beginning to fuse. And I'd walk by his lab. Our labs were beside each other. And he'd go, Lysiak, look at this. You're onto something here. You need to do something. So that was a big motivator collaborating with our MD colleagues. The
Yeah.
next, briefly, I'll tell you, Amy, is that we found out that this isn't unique to humans. This happens on sperm in multiple species.
Oh, wow.
So it happens in bovine, canine, equine. So when you have a molecule like this that we think is evolutionary conserved, right, where you have it in multiple species, you need this for fertilization. That also told Ravi and I, we're like, oh, okay, we could be onto something here and maybe we should do something about it. In fact, we debated for a long time and talking to the business folks here at UVA whether we should go into the bovine field.
Uh-huh.
In the dairy industry, bulls don't see cows anymore. It's all artificial insemination. So can we help that industry? But when my CEO came on board, we were like, no, we're going to go into the human side. And that's where. So I'm glad we did, but we still would like to maybe have an animal branch sometime.
Okay. Yeah, that's really cool. And then how long have you guys been doing tests for people?
So we had a soft launch. So we just started selling our kits last summer
Okay.
or so. Yeah.
Okay. Great. So
Yeah.
summer of 2025.
Yeah.
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 And so if, let's say someone who's listening today and they really want to test, how do they go about it?
Well, definitely go to our website, psfertility.com. You can find all the information there on how to order it. Certain states, you could go direct to consumer. In other states, you have to go through a physician. But either way, go to our website. And I think it's pretty easy to get shipped out a kit.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to be recommending this test. I just want you to know that. Yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing what it sounds like you guys are doing some more research on different types of populations right now.
Yeah, we've entered a major study with one of the bigger reproductive centers in the country. And we're trying to determine now whether the PS score really correlates with IUI outcomes, because that's the data that I think the reproductive endocrinologists really want. They
Right.
want more live birth data, IUI data. Initially, we targeted the reproductive urologists, right, with the semen analysis with Varicocele. But the bigger market, and for, as you know, would be getting into these fertility centers. So yeah, we've started those studies, and hopefully we'll have some results in the next several months.
Oh, that's exciting. You have to keep me posted. Even if the studies aren't published, you have to tell me, please. I want to be the first one to know.
I will tell you.
Yeah. So looking ahead, how do you see PS Detect changing the future of male fertility care?
Well, I think again that this is, I think, another valuable test in the physician's toolbox. That basic semen analysis doesn't do a great job, and now we're able to assess, which sperm we think are fertilization competent, which sperm can actually fuse and fertilize that egg. So it'll give people like you and your colleagues more information about that male that often gets misdiagnosed. And if you misdiagnose the male, what happens, right? A lot of the burden falls back to the female, and we don't want that to happen.
Right. Right. Women go through lots of treatments that ultimately won't work because
Exactly.
of sperm that isn't diagnosed properly.
Right. Yeah. So let's get the
Yeah.
male right the first time. People, time, and money, and everything else.
Talking about money, how much does your test cost right now?
It's $360.
Okay. And for people who want to use their insurance, is that an option?
We're working on that right now.
Yeah.
So we are a startup still. So we're trying to figure out all these things, but not right now.
So where can people learn more about PS Fertility?
I would go to our website, psfertility.com. It has all the information there about ordering a kit, even the team we have here, and the papers that we published on this already.
Jeff, thank you so much for being here and for advancing a more precise and meaningful way to understand male fertility. For everyone listening, links to PS Fertility and everything we discussed today will be in the show notes. Be sure to subscribe to The Egg Whisperer Show on YouTube and Spotify so you never miss an episode. Until next time, stay curious, stay hopeful, and keep sparkling as you move forward on your fertility journey. See you next time.